Hello and welcome back to the 10-minute teach. We're on week 3. And if you remember last week, I gave you a PDF, which was the grid of IMA, Identify, Modify, Adapt, a communication tool, a profiling tool that you can utilize to understand more about how other people communicate. Obviously, once you understand about yourself and how you communicate as well. So today I want to fill in the gaps, basically. You've got the grid, you know that at the top of the grid, if you're sitting at the top of the grid, wherever you are or whoever sits at the top of the grid, they are fast paced. At the lower part of the grid, they are slow paced. On the right hand side of the grid, they are people orientated people, sometimes known as right brain. On the left hand side of the grid, they are task orientated people, sometimes known as left brain. And again, I have to reiterate, please do not get tied up with labels. It doesn't mean to say that you're in one quadrant and you can't move anywhere else. The whole point is identify where you are in your natural state and then understand where you can move to in order to become more like the person that you're trying to build rapport with. It doesn't mean that you're putting on an act. It doesn't mean that you're not being your genuine self. It's just helping them to hear what you have to say in a way that is more amenable for them. Once you understand where you're coming from, then you can move into another quadrant. Once you understand where they're coming from, you know what quadrant to move into. Hope that makes sense. So if you write, I haven't put this on the form, but if you write now, top left-hand quadrant, the top left-hand square, right at the top red, on the right top hand square you write yellow, underneath yellow you write blue, and underneath red you write green. And these are the 4 quadrants. It's very similar to a disc profile, but remember, we're not looking at personality, we're looking at communication styles. So how you communicate, who you are being when you communicate. So let's start with my one. And again, I can adapt and I can move into any one. And sometimes you are just into the colour and sometimes you are on the cusp and you kind of go, well, I'm a bit of that and a bit of that. That's fine. This isn't written in stone. But I am definitely a yellow, known as a high yellow. So what does that mean? Well, I'm a fast-paced people person. So I'm at the top of the quadrant and I'm people focused. So I am at my best when I'm surrounded by other people. I love to interact with other people. I get my ideas from other people. I get information and I share with other people. If I'm not sharing and supporting and helping other people, being on my own makes me feel like I'm shriveling and shrinking. But if I'm with people, I can expand and I can grow. So some of my positive attributes, I can speak in front of a room. I'm more than happy to speak to a room of 200, 300, 500 people. I can walk into a party and even if it's the worst party in the world, I'll make it a fantastic party because I love people. So I love talking to people. I'm interested in who they are, what they're about, what they love to do. So definitely a people person, and some people would say I'm an extrovert. I choose to be extrovert, but some people would say that I'm an extrovert. So the flip side of that, there's always a flip side. When I'm under stress, I go to a certain space. So things that would stress me, and you might have heard me say this once or twice, technology. So there is so much knowledge and information in there, it's detail. I'm not very good with the detail. I can see the massive big picture. I know what I want it to do. I know what it needs to, how it needs to perform, but I don't want to do all the stuff in between to make it perform. So if I've got to change a spreadsheet in order to get it into a CSV file, in order to get it to upload, to download, to upload, it's too much information and it's not going to help me because it's a task. I'm not such a task-based person. Don't get me wrong, I can do tasks, I can do spreadsheets. I just don't find it fun. It's not enjoyable for me. So if I am rushed and I'm under a time limit, because again, time is a restriction and yellows don't like being restricted in any way. If time is of the essence and I need to get stuff done and somebody says, oh, you just do it in this tech and it's fine, that will stress me out even more. So if you want to communicate with a high yellow, have high energy, let them speak because they love speaking. help them to understand what you're saying, so you can be as engaging as they can. So if they take a breath, go for it and start talking, because they really are interested in what you're saying as well. But keep it snappy, keep it interesting. The minute you kind of slow it right down, their brain is buzzing so much that their attention will wander slightly. So you have to keep them interested in what you're saying. And usually you can do that by tapping into the emotions. Yellows are very emotive people. They wear their heart on their sleeve. They love everybody instantly, and they're rarely disappointed because people live up to that expectation from them. So you can see how what I'm doing in Collaboration Global fits in perfectly with this communication style that I have. It's fast-paced, I'm a people-orientated person, and I wear my heart on my sleeve. So they wouldn't necessarily work quite so well with the opposite side, which is the reds. So reds are great at making decisions, are fantastic at being task focused. They get their stuff done, they're really direct. They have a goal, they love a good goal, and they're going to go for their goal. Under stress, they kind of revert to losing all the niceties of life. So they can be quite abrupt. They might be curt at what they're saying. They can have a tendency to be bossy. You do this, you do this. They want it done their way. They want it done now or yesterday. So being a red is really, you need a red in any kind of collaboration that you're going to be doing. Somebody that can really get to the point, get to the nub of it, find the problem, be a problem solver, make a decision. Let's do it this way. But without the stress side of them, I don't care what you think, we're going to do it my way. That doesn't work in a collaboration. So the best side of a red is this kind of clear thinking, this clarity that they have. It's beautiful. But if it's pushed into stress mode, it becomes overbearing and not collaborative at all. So you have to watch that. People that maybe want to be a bit like a red are the greens underneath that. So greens are, again, task focused, but they're slow paced. So they would be quite happy to be put in a small room with a spreadsheet and talk to me tomorrow. I don't really want to, you get on with what you've got to do. I'm going to do this here. They're not people orientated. So they look at high yellows and go, wow, they're a bit off the planet. I don't want to talk to them at all. They look at reds and they will say, I would love to be a red because it's clarity, purpose, task focus, but they're so confident. They seem so confident. I would love to be able to be like that. I'm not confident at all. I'm quite an introvert. And of course, at the lowest side of the quadrant, they are slow paced. So they will explain things to you very clearly, very precisely, and quite slowly. So they will make sure that you understand everything that they have said, which is fantastic, because I need people to talk, in one syllable sometimes for me. So being a green, they don't want to be at the front of the room. They don't want to be in charge of anything. They want to be part of the team, and they want to be given their jobs, and they will nail their target, and they will be very focused, and they will be driven, but they will keep their head below the parapet. They do not want to be in charge. So their body language will be different to the D. So if you were to look at somebody from a visual perspective, a D is going to be, you want to know what's going on, and they're going to be quite, you'll probably find a D, their head is quite full of this in the screen, where a green, sorry, I'm saying D like it's a disc profile, red is kind of direct, where a green is going to be a little bit more back, and they're not really interested, and they might not even have their screen on. They might not even want their picture to be shown. So they'll be quite back there, and usually a bit of negative body language in that they're not really going to get too involved. But the reds are definitely up there. So the last one on the little list of the little quadrant is the blue. And the blues are the harmonizers. Every collaboration needs a blue in there. So they're on the right side of the quadrant and they're at the bottom of the quadrant. So they are slow paced. They're calm, they've got lovely energy, they're people, so they want to make sure everyone's happy, everyone's really kind, everyone's working well together. Have you got everything you need? Can I help in any way? This is the conversation that you would have with a blue. They want everyone to be happy. They definitely don't want to be leading the charge. They definitely don't want to be talking to everyone at the front of the room. They don't want to be that spokesperson. They're not going to be somebody on stage. They don't have the dominance of a red. The red is going to look at the blue and see them possibly as subservient, but we all know, a bit like the world that we live in, the blues are the people that are the glue that holds everything together. So they are imperative because they understand how to talk to people, and they also understand what people need. So they have great empathy for everyone in the room. Under stress is when a red is telling them what to do. Maybe it's a bit too forthright and they don't like being spoken to like that. If they're not valued, that causes them stress. If they're having to pull a project together too quickly and everything hasn't been laid out and set out so they can see it clearly, and things that maybe they're short on time, that is going to cause them stress as well. So a blue is part of the glue, and the ultimate reason that glues are so amazing is because they bring harmony to every project. So understanding a blue is a really good idea as well. So the yellows, if you want to just look at them on say you've got a grid of Zoom people, the yellows are the animated talking, and they're fidget, they don't sit in their seats quietly like this. The blues are interested in paying attention, but not so animated because everything's slower pace. The way they speak is more precise, a bit like the greens. The greens probably won't speak very much at all. Only if they have to. They won't speak unless they're actually called upon to do so. And when they do, it will be considered, it will be thoughtful, it will be a slow pace. They will enjoy having an audience, listen to them, but they're not thinking about the people, they're thinking about what I have to say is very important and these people need to know this. So they're not thinking about engaging with people and making it interesting, they're giving you the facts. So it might be lots of information that actually you don't feel is very relevant. They're not thinking about what you need, they're thinking that they're going to tell you everything they know because that's what they see as useful for you. As we see on a screen, any red is probably going to be leading the charge and will be quite animated talking, but not from a faster pace, but not animated that like a high yellow would be, but they are getting their point across, so you know that they're there and you know that they're very informative. They're very well informed themselves and they want to be informative for you as well. So it's quite direct, clear speech, clear definition of what they're saying, and the tone. The yellows might be a higher ratio. The reds are going to probably be a bit more middle ground. The greens could be quite deep when they speak, as could the blues. So you can probably hear as well, the more you get to look at how people perform within each quadrant, the more you kind of spot them before they even open their mouths and say anything. It's really interesting. So of course, if you're a red and you want to have a great time talking with somebody, you would probably get on quite well with the greens because they want you to tell them what to do or be in charge, and you want to be in charge, so that's fine. The reds would find it a bit difficult with the yellows because they don't stop talking all the time, so they would have to adjust to be part of the yellows and bring the yellows back to where their level is. So when everybody's got an understanding of where you would kind of, I identify with this colour, or I identify with that colour, in a collaboration, when everyone is aware of it, it's not an excuse to be more of that or the worst side of that, but it's an understanding so you know how to kind of adjust how you're being. And if everybody adjusts, then the communication can really, really flow. So that is the whistle stop tour. I could have taken a whole day to talk to you about IMA. If you want any more information, obviously put a little comment underneath and I can get in touch with you and share a little bit more about that. It's just to give you a little stepping stone to understand a little bit more about how people communicate and how important it is to meet them halfway. And when you can do that, the rapport that you build will be a stronger relationship and a stronger collaboration. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Fill in all the little bits on that quadrant so that you know who's who, and see if you can let me know what colour you are. Hopefully I've guessed right already. Okay, see you next time.